I'm you, Dad. Dad, I'm just like you.
Teach me the motherfucking game, Ghost. This is who I am. These suits don't change who you are. And that school can't change who I am.
Kanan also accepted me for who I am. Selling drugs didn't ruin your life, Ghost.
Keep lying, Tariq. I failed him as a father. Keep thinking you're fucking smarter than me. Don't ever make that mistake again, son.
I'm not scared of you no more. You don't even realize that ain't shit that she could say that would turn me against you. Only person that could do that is you.
After every fucking thing I've done for you?
You ain't never did a thing for me. Ever.
From a life of misery, son.
I ain't your fucking son. And I swear to God I'll murder you myself. You might have given me life, but you were never my fucking father. Why would you take care of me there if you can't even take care of me right here? I'm standing in front of you! Tell me about everything you've ever done, Dad. Every drug deal, every robbery, every murder. That's all you ever cared about, the best thing for Ghost. You promised me you'd take the weight. I should have known that was a promise that you could never keep. Up to now, you still don't even see me for who I really am. You're in the way of my future like you said he was in the way of yours.
If you do this shit, you can never go back.
What is going on, my power people and my power family? Welcome back. I am here to present to you the rise of Tariq St. Patrick. Now, let's go back all the way to the OG series. James St. Patrick and Tasha end up falling out. The kids end up knowing this due to them going to spend the night at Angela's. Tariq was very hurt by this split. Emotionally, I don't think he knew how to express the resentment that he had and the anger he was feeling against his father, ultimately leading to his father's demise, quote unquote, in the end of the show. Now, Tariq ends up being not only hurt by that, he loses Sean in the midst of this, which poses him to steal Angela's gun and then bring it to school. He ends up getting caught. His dad finds out. Angela handles the situation for him. And Tariq says something very smart. And Ghost checked him on it and turned into Ghost in front of Tariq. It didn't end well. Tariq ends up walking away. Ghost is, feeling like, damn, I didn't have to do that. There was a better way to handle it. A lot of the responsibility of what happened to Tariq does fall on James, just due to his actions and him not fully understanding how it impacted his son, because he never really had conversations with him about his choices that he made. When you're choosing to leave your wife as a father, you should sit down with your children solo and with the mother and explain why they are no longer choosing to be together. This wasn't the case. So Tariq kind of had to puzzle things together for himself. Also around this time, he ends up meeting Slim, also known as Kanan, and ends up getting into some trouble. Now, Kanan's ultimate goal was to turn Tariq like him because Ghost resented that, and he succeeded. Do I put the responsibility on Kanan? No, it's more so on Ghost, just because he should have been more vigilant of what was going on with his child. Broken homes create broken children. Tariq, throughout the original series, shows a lot of resentment and hatred towards his father, and he's pinning it all up, but he ultimately wants to learn how to sell drugs, and he wants to learn the game, and he wants to get involved, and his father's telling him, son, I had to do that. You don't have to make those choices. You have the ability to go this route and kind of have an easy life, which is what I don't think Tariq ultimately wanted, just due to him having the role models that he had. Your father's a nightclub owner / drug dealer. Tommy's a drug dealer. Kanan, drug dealer. Just look at the influences. And then his mom, no better. She saved Tariq from a lot of ass whoopings. I'm not going to hold you. And also, she was upfront and honest with them about what Ghost was doing. So this ultimately led to Tariq being so intrigued by the lifestyle that he wanted to get involved, which led, up until this point, the death of his sister Raina. And I do blame him 100% fully for that. But I also have to put the blame somewhat on his parents too, because they could have stopped Tariq very easily. And Tariq was literally going off doing his own thing all the time. But hey, that's when you have to check your kid and just let them know, like, this is not a game. This isn't a joke. And I think Tariq looked at them as like, F y'all. Y'all are not helping me out. You don't tell me about where you come from. I don't know your past. I don't know your history. I don't know who you are besides the fact that you're my parents and we live in this big ass penthouse. But he wants to know, how did we get here? What really derived all of this? Curiosity killed the cat, they said. He ends up dabbling into drug selling, with the helps of Dre, Kanan, etc. throughout the season. Ends up finding himself in trouble. That's when they end up clipping Jukebox. Ultimately, he's still under Kanan's wing, still in drugs from Tommy, etc., which leads to him then setting Kanan up to get killed. And I don't think he really had to do that. Kanan would have let him walk away. Kanan still wanted to kill Ghost and Tommy, though, so I'm not sure how that would have played out. However, Kanan had real love for Tariq, so ultimately I could see him letting him walk away from that. When Kanan died, that also affected Tariq because he really had to set up his own best friend to get killed. Along with the death of Raina prior, it really started to mess with him psychologically. You could see him start to shut down. He became very cold, very calculated, smart mouth, mouthing off to his parents. He just was spiraling all in one. And then he decides he wants to go to Choate, which was very interesting. While up there, though, here he is dealing and selling pills. Ends up, linking up with Brayden, who we see in the spinoff, and Effie, who ultimately got him kicked out of Choate because she reported that Tariq was drug dealing, which he was. Ghost ends up finding out he got expelled. It goes downhill. Tariq is still spiraling at this point. He wants in the drug game. He wants to learn how it works. And who ultimately ends up teaching him? That bird chicken head, no good Tasha Green. I ain't even gonna call her St. Patrick no more. His mom ends up teaching him the game, how to cut a brick, how to weigh it, how the money works, everything. I'm just so appalled that a mother would teach her son this, but if he's intrigued by it, I mean, Kanan's mom did the same thing for him. It's just, you have to have some type of degree of dignity to just, you could just tell your kid, no, I'm not teaching you that game. I'm not going to teach you that life because you'll end up getting yourself hurt. But what does Tariq say across from the table? I can be better than him, meaning his father. That's when they devised the plan to get rid of Ghost. It just struck me as bizarre, but we were always leading up to this point. If you've been watching the originals to right now, Tariq has always been on the rise and on the incline of becoming this kingpin, and I couldn't see it. Probably a lot of people couldn't see it because we were so focused on what was going to happen with James, his political run. Everything that was going on with him was so intriguing that we didn't see that they were foreshadowing Tariq's character in front of us the whole time for him to take over. Most of their clips towards the end of him and Ghost in scenes together was Tariq telling him, I'm you. He kept expressing to him how much alike he was of his father. However, the audience, us, we ignored it. Now that it's in front of me and I was able to really sit down and think upon it, Tariq has always been building up to be a drug kingpin. And that brings me to my next point. He is an heir to the throne of his father to be next in line to run the business. Now, that's not what James wanted for Tariq. However, that's what Tariq wants for himself because he feels that he could be one of the best to ever do it just by watching his father's mistakes in his own life. It's very intriguing to me how they could do this with shows because I never saw Tariq becoming that. I was just thinking, listen, this little snotty-nosed niglet, man, he just need to smack her two upside the head, be grounded, don't have access to none of his electronic devices, and he'll get back on point. I was clearly wrong. This young man really needed to take me out back in the backyard and really whoop my ass like treatment because he really became his father, which is another thing too that they foreshadowed was that he hated his father so much. He had a deep root hated for him, like a hatred. And who do you end up becoming, Tariq? You end up becoming the man that you did not want to be. From the drug dealing to the narcissism to the lying to the manipulating to going to prison that first time, up to now getting shot at, almost losing your life, creating multiple enemies for yourself. You are your father's son, which is why this season 4 is so pivotal, because Ghost was always able to be 6-10 moves ahead of his opponents. Tariq needs to think the same. You need to be ahead, young man, because if you think you're going to get anywhere, if you think you're going to come out on top and be the drug kingpin that you want to be, you have to start being more cold and calculated, which is what I hope he starts doing in this season. It's interesting to see the rise of Tariq go from this little boy in season 1 up to, you could say, he's a grown man now in college, and he's almost at the top of his game in terms of getting everything he wants. If he could just get past Noma, Kane, Effie, if he could devise some cold plan to get through that, and Monet as well, then he's definitely going to be leading the pack in terms of his own organization. And that would be very good to see, because this is a character who I could not stand. Literally an antagonist from season 1, in my opinion, just going against the grain, not listening to his parents, being defiant. His sister got killed. He set up his best friend. He set up a lot of people going into the spinoff. He kills his own teacher. He almost gets killed at the pool. Luckily, he got saved. And then he's running the Tejadas organization for them, basically, because he's the mastermind of Course Correct. All in all, he's coming up to this point, goes to prison for the 2 murders, for the cop and his teacher, which he ends up getting off from thanks to the help of his best friend, his right hand, Braden Weston. Then goes on to figure out Lauren's still alive. Basically gets rid of Effie out of his life. He basically got wrapped up into a whirlwind of problems for himself that resulted into that last episode where he's getting shot at and Braden shows up to save him. And now it's them 2 versus everyone. I mean, Tariq's karma has somehow circled around back to him where he is now. However, I hope that in this season, he can actually get some of that good karma and really think on his toes, be sharp, be smart, be witty, and just know that you can't trust nobody in the drug game. So if Tariq can do that, I think he will be super good, super successful. If you've been watching up until this point, you knew that this was on the rise for him in terms of his horizon. He was always going to get to this point. And some of us saw it and some of us didn't. But hey, we're here now. And this man right here is either going to do one or 2 things this season. He's going to build or destroy. And I'm here for it. Thank you for tuning into this video. Don't forget, leave a like, leave a comment if you want to. Hit the subscribe button if you're feeling friendly. And as always, this is Conspiracy Kai. I will catch y'all in the next video. Peace.